Well, it's Wednesday, and you all know what that means. That means right now we have AEW Dynamite. We're only 1 week away for Arthur Ashe. It's going to be one hell of a time. However, we're going to feature, of course, the finals of the AEW World Title Eliminator Grand Slam match. Who will walk out as the winner to face MJF? Will it be Roderick Strong or will it be Samoa Joe? We'll just have to find out. But first things first, a day before Stardom's Dream Tag Festival, we had, of course, day 15 of Stardom's 5-star Grand Prix. However, we had 4 matches involving 2 from the Red Stars and 2 from the Blue Stars. We'll see how far they have advanced, and of course, other matches that took place. And then, of course, to cap it up, we have, of course, news updates to tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what promotions events are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, any injured wrestlers, any departing wrestlers, the whole enchilada. So let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is where we do daily reviews on pro wrestling from various promotions all over the world, such as here in the United States, Japan, Mexico, Canada, anywhere in the world. We also do some Unagi Sayaka watch if you're not a fan of her. And of course, we have some discussion videos, news updates, everything else we can do. So if you like this channel, please subscribe to us. If you like this episode, please give us a like on the click button and leave us a nice comment down below. So now let's begin with our very first review. This is from the Joshi Promotion Stardom. As you know, we continue on with more of the 5-star Grand Prix as we get closer and closer towards the end. First things up, the opening of the show, we have, of course, Izura Inaba, the younger sister of Tomoka Inaba from Just Tap Out, making her appearance. Apparently, she issued a challenge to the current Future of Stardom champion, Rina. Now, Rina, as you know, has been one of the wrestlers who have been talked about being the real star in New Blood. So basically, she feels that she's the main character. However, as you know, Rina has a tendency to call wrestlers who have let 3-year experience shitty old hags, believing that they are an insult to the future belt. She has said that countless times, but however, it turns out she's dealing with a wrestler who's a bit more younger than her. So I don't know exactly how this is going to turn out, but of course, that match is set to happen. And I think it already has, it's already been signed. Now, our very opening match, we have Hanako teaming up with Miyuki Amasaki, a member of Queen's Quest, taking on her teammates. We're talking about Lady C and Hina. So this is a very interesting. Now, the one thing that's X factor of this match is, of course, Hanako, who has the least experience in the ring. She just barely started out wrestling not too long ago. I mean, you probably would have thought, okay, this team will definitely lose. But however, it was Amasaki who picked up the win when she pinned Hina with the Aman Sadashi, whatever it's called, like a pinfall move that gave her the win. Next up, we have Mei Sira and Mega Bane, a very awesome odd duo. They take on Waka Tsukiyama and Mariah May. However, apparently they decided to play a little fun games to Megan Bane due to the fact she's tall. Mary Siri was telling her, hey look, they're making fun of us, making fun of you because you're tall. So apparently they decided to play a little game. However, we all know how this is going to play out. Apparently, don't mess around with Megan Bane. That's always been her deal. However, Mariah May doesn't like May Siri because she calls her a little stalker. But however, in this case, Waka paid the price by getting herself F5 by Mega Bane, giving her and Meisita the win. Now, our next match, we have Godzai, Saki Kashima, and Suri taking on Yuna Mizumori and Natsupoi. Now, as you know, Yuna Mizumori will be in later on this month in the next New Blood show. She'll be facing Tam Nakano, but however, she has to focus on her match with Saki and Suri. Now, I did mention, if you guys remember, I reported that Saki and Suri will be in Tag League this year together. This is a very interesting thing, but I did say that they are my number one pick to win. But one thing that was very interesting is how this match ended. There was a moment where, of course, Saki has Yuna Mizumori positioned for the Kishikase, but however, it was Suri who gave the move in order to pursue it, and then boom, just like that. I have to say, this is going to be a very interesting duo at the Goddess Tag League, so it was a pretty good match. So we'll see how it progressed from there. Now, our next match, we have, of course, these two teams have always been at war with each other. We're talking about Oedo Tai, consistent of Fukigen Death, Rina, and Natsuko Tora taking on Star members Momokogo, Koguma, and Mayu Iwatani. So you probably can guess this rivalry will escalate in some capacity. Not to mention, Oedo Tai will try to cheat their way through, but nope. However, the brat of the group, we're talking about Rina, got herself hooked up in the standing dragon sleeper by Mayu Iwatani, and she had no other choice but to tap. So they gave her a very good win on this one. Now, our next match, our next four matches are in fact part of the 5-Star Grand Prix tournament. Our first one we have, of course, is Sayori Onoe and Mirai. Now, before the tournament ever started, Sayori Onoe has always been interested in Mirai. Now, as you all know, it's no secret that, she is the current white belt champion, but there was something about her that this happened before she actually won the belt. So we'll see how that goes, but I think she felt a little curious. Now, we know Mirai has always been a very strong wrestler no matter what, putting all her ability and her soul in order to win the match. But however, apparently Sayori Onoe picked up the win by applying the pottering and pick up the win. However, this match ended with Sayori Onoe having 4 wins with a total of 8 points. However, Mirai has only 3 wins with 6 points. But here's a rule of thumb. As you know, Sayori Onoe was able to defeat Mirai. It would be a possibility that she could actually have an opportunity to challenge for the white belt. That is something you probably could put that in your back pocket. So we'll see how that goes on from there on. Now we jump into the Red Star block. We have Starlight Kid versus Azuki. Like any other time when it comes to Starlight Kid being a member of Oedo Tai, she viciously attacked and dragged Azuki into the ring. Now, she's desperate to win her matches no matter what. That's always been the case from Starlight Kid to pick up the win. However, it was, of course, Azuki with the Azuki Kistral on her to pick up the win. So, right now, I think Azuki has like maybe 6-8 points, I believe. I forgot to write that on my notes. Let me look it up real quick. Yeah, Suzuki has about 6 points with 3 wins, and Kid only has 2 points. So basically, she's a bit more behind. I'm going to assume that Starlight Kid is possibly out of the tournament. Now, our next match is more with the Red Stars block. We have Zuzu Suzuki taking on Tam Nakano. Now, this is a much brutal match. Now, of course, if you guys know Tam Nakano's history, she has been involved in death matches before. But however, much like Risa Serra, you probably would have thought that Tam would have defeated her. But no, Tam Nakano took a lot of beating from her. But it was, of course, the German suplex hold that allowed her, Suzuki, to pick up the win against Tam. Now, the point system right now is this. Zuzu has 6 points with a total of 3 wins. As for Tam, 7 points with one draw and 3 wins. However, because of this, there's the possibility of Zuzu maybe cashing in the opportunity to challenge for the red belt. Now, this is the Clut League scenario I could picture in this. As you know, Tam Nakano will face Natsuko Tora on the 9th of October in Nagoya. So if somehow Tam Nakano survives that match, I wouldn't be surprised that Zuzu would issue a challenge. Now, this will be the second time this year that Zuzu will possibly challenge for that belt if it comes around. So we'll see how that progresses. However, the only thing that still stuck with me, many people believe that even if Natsuko Tora loses to Tam in Nagoya, there is the possibility that she could win the tournament and cash in the opportunity by the end of December. That is something, a most likely scenario, but we'll see how that progresses on. Now, our next and final match is back to the Blue Stars. It's a showdown between two members of DDM, the co-founders of the group. We have Micah versus Julia. Now, I often said that I do like to see Micah win, but Julia is determined to be 2 years running to win the belt. So this was a much brutal match that you couldn't anticipate. But however, Julia was able to pick up the win when she applied the Northern Light Bombs to win the match. However, Micah was about to say something, but Zuzu Suzuki got involved, got in her face. So they've been going back and forth. Even Julia's like right in the middle of this, like, why? Why are these two getting in the way? All of a sudden, Micah proposed something to Zuzu. How about those two challenge DDM for the artist belts? So basically they agreed, but the obvious question, who's going to be their third partner? And that's where it gets more interesting. The fans were saying Megazis, which reference to Megan Bain. So they were like looking around, and of course Julia's like a little worried, but when they're saying Megan, and Julia's like, ah, she can't even believe it that now this is going to be interesting. Now, it's been a while since DDM has challenged for those belts. I think they only had one defense, I believe. But after that, no, we haven't seen. I mean, we know that Tekla and Mai Sakurai were not even involved in the 5-star Grand Prix. Only Micah and Julia. But we'll see how that grows. So I'm excited to see how that match is going to progress from there. Till we get to October 9th, we'll find out. But right now, let's move on to our next and final review, and that would be AEW Dynamite. Okay, AEW Dynamite opened up with the International Championship on the line. Jon Moxley takes on Big Bill. Now, if you guys remember last week what happened, Bryan Danielson was out doing his thing, but later was in the confrontation with Ricky Starks, and then Ricky Starks attacked him. Big Bill helped out. Jon Moxley tried to help too, but it was no use. However, it was decided that they were going to put Big Bill and Jon Moxley in the ring. However, Big Bill was able to make Jon Moxley bleed. But the obvious thing is the toughness of Jon Moxley, who refuses to stay down no matter how strong or big Big Bill is. He's well aware of the condition of Big Bill, how he is. But it did not stop. But of course, the X factor of this match indicates that, of course, Ricky Starks, who's in Big Bill's corner, was going to ensure that this match falls into him. But of course, because of his interference, Bryan Danielson decides to get himself involved. But it was Jon Moxley with an armbar onto Big Bill that allowed him to win the match and force him to tap out. But however, Big Bill and Ricky Starks attacked, of course, the members of the BCC, mostly Danielson and Moxley. However, Claudio shows up to do the saving hands right there. But you probably can tell this is not over between Starks and Big Bill. We'll see how that rolls up around from there. Now, our next interview, of course, is with Renee Paquette talking to Roderick Strong. As you know, he will be facing Samoa Joe. However, Adam Cole was trying to confront him about everything else, but of course, Roderick Strong was not going to listen to any word that, of course, that Adam Cole has to say to him, because he's determined to win the tournament. Now, our next interview goes into the ring with Tony Schiavone. As you know, a week ago, Don Callis has been running his mouth, telling the entire world that Konosuke Takeshita has defeated Kenny Omega in a matter of 7 days. The first time in All In the 6-man tag team match, and of course an All Out in that singles match. However, Don Callis said that they have a new target. So he said some interesting remarks about Kenny, that, all this and that. And of course, now that he gave Konosuke Takeshita a brand new nickname. He calls him the Alpha. So basically, but the obvious question is, who is the new target? It turns out they chosen Kota Ibushi. Now, the reasons behind this, Kenny and Kota Ibushi are two of the closest friends. I'm sure Don Callis tried to tell him, you can't be friends with a guy like him. But Kenny is friends with Kota Ibushi. He was the one guy that he wanted to wrestle when he first arrived in Japan. So, but Don Callis told Kenny that he's going to carve him, cut him, choke him, whatever, to end him, to break Kenny's spirit. I wouldn't be surprised if Kenny decides to be in the corner of Kota Ibushi to ensure no funny business goes around. But however, the history between Kota Ibushi and Konosuke Takeshita goes deeper. Kota did mention that people say that he is like the new version of Kota Ibushi. But however, but Ibushi had a different thought. He did state that Takeshita has never respected him when they were in DDT. He's always trying to be cocky and all that. And I think maybe it's time for someone like Kota Ibushi to put him in his place. But we'll see when that happens. Will Kota Ibushi accept the match? We'll see how that goes around. Now, we do another interview with Alex Marvez. As you know, he interviews the members of the BCC. As you know, with what just transpired in the ring with Starks and Big Bill, it seems this is not far over. But however, there's an interesting factor going around. As you know, John Moxley will be in action to take on Rey Fenix. This is revenge for what the BCC did to Rey Fenix, and they're up for it. But however, while the chaos was happening, Claudio Castagnoli got his face pale when he saw Eddie Kingston. As you know, he has been avoiding Eddie Kingston for far too long. But now Eddie Kingston tells him that one more week, that means they're going to have to lash it out. Many fans are saying they want to see Eddie Kingston finally defeat Claudio Castagnoli. That's something I'm sure we definitely could see in the future. But we'll find out how that goes on next week. Now, even though there's too many interviews, this was a very interesting one. As you know, Rene Paquette had an interview with Hook, telling him how happy he is that he regained the FTW championship. However, here comes Orange Cassidy, tells him he's always mad, I mean, why are you mad? I mean, you have a championship. I lost the championship. But Hook said that he is the greatest champion. And he told him the same thing. So it was weird, but he said that he's tired. I mean, the dude is batter up. Even Taz was surprised about what he said to Hook. I mean, I'm sure it warmed Taz's heart knowing that he respects Hook. So we'll see how that goes. I wouldn't be surprised if they team up at some point. But I mean, they're a bit of odd guys, but we'll see. Now, our next match is a number one contendership to take on Saraya for the AEW Women's World Championship at Arthur Ashe. Our first one is, of course, Toni Storm, the two-time champion. Then we have Hikaru Shida, another two-time champion, Nyla Rose, and Britt Baker. Now, the obvious thing, how was this going to go? All these women are former champions in their own right. However, in this particular case, it was very interesting and it was all chaotic. But however, it was, of course, Toni Storm who picked up the win when she rolled up Britt Baker after she stomped Hikaru Shida and win the match. So the obvious question is, what does Saraya and Ruby Soho think? Well, that's a good, interesting question. Well, right after this match, Renee Paquette had a little chat with them, and of course Saraya saying, congratulations. But however, she did state, you were once champion, but you lost it, once before. So basically, she is indicating she will lose this match at Arthur Ashe. So we'll see how that one goes around from there. Now, we do see a little interesting in-ring promo with none other than the Sex Gods between Sammy and Jericho. Now, as you know, they are now going to be facing each other at, Arthur Ashe to let out the whatever frustrations they had towards each other. But the obvious thing is, will they hold back or they really, really going to go hard? Well, we'll see when that day comes. Now, a week ago, we did saw what happened to MJF. Apparently, MJF and Adam Cole he was there, but MJF had certain things to talk about, especially Roderick Strong, since he's well aware now that Roderick Strong and Samoa Joe are in the finals. But of course, I think he doesn't care. But one thing that's funny is when, of course, he got to Samoa Joe, he did the little Steiner math, and of course, you know, um, Adam Cole's like, okay. So basically, I like how they brought back the Steiner math. It's one of my favorite moments to watch. So we'll see how that goes. Even, of course, Taz said this. Well, that math is from the state of Michigan, you know. So I think that's kind of interesting. Now, this is part three between these two wrestlers. We're talking about Hangman Adam Page and Brian Cage. Now, these two guys have confronted each other before prior. Now, this is a bidding by none other than Swerve Strickland, who had enough of Hangman, getting all the attention, getting all the opportunities. He felt like it's time for you to take a hike, and it's my turn. But however, of course, he showed up to try to get him out of the attention. But however, Hangman was instead of able to try to take out Brian Cage with the what was it? Oh yeah, with the buckshot Laird, he tried to deadeye, and it was very effective. However, of course, right after the match, there was a promo with Hangman talking to Swerve. You know, it's about this what happened last week and all that. So Swerve decided, you want to match with me, but it's going to be under my time, my rules. So he decided, let's do it in Seattle, Washington, which is his turf at Wrestle Dream. But however, in order to ensure that he gets the advantage to win, Brian Cage attacks him, ensuring that he will beat him up. But however, Hangman's buddies, the Young Bucks, decide to give him a helping hand. And when Nana was doing his little dance, he had no idea what happened until he got super kicked, and that was it. So we'll see what happens on that day when we get there. Now, our next interview, I think this is our I don't know if we have another interview yet. This is our final interview. As you know, we have Rene Paquette talking with Daniel Garcia at the result. Now, he does not want us here to talk about Sammy and Jericho. However, another person showed up to talk to him saying Jericho's a narcissist. So he seems like he's interested in having Daniel Garcia to join him. And then it told him to shut up, and he was dancing once again. And he seems like he's very impressed with him, saying that is money right there. But the obvious thing is, will Daniel Garcia accept it? Well, we'll find out soon enough. Now, our next match, we have Nick Wayne and Darby Allin taking on Daddy Magic Matt Menard and Cool Hands Angelo Parker, of course being accompanied by Anna Jay and Jay Kager. But it's no surprise that those two would get involved by interfering. However, the teamwork with however, during the entirety of the match, Christian Cage shows up, joins the commentary, talking about he feels that he could be a much better mentor than Darby Allin. He thinks that Darby Allin, he's a sadist, that he hides behind the half of makeup. He doesn't believe that he earned the right to become champion and all this. However, it was Nick Wayne and Darby Allin that picked up the win when Darby applied the coffin drop onto Angelo Parker, giving him the win. However, Christian Cage, who's dissatisfied with this match, he decided to lay it out on the law. He felt he was not satisfied either with the loss of what happened in All In. So he felt that there's a right that has to be wrong. But he felt that he is sick and tired hearing about Sting and Darby. So he issued a challenge at Arthur Ashe, Sting and Darby Allin versus Christian Cage and Luchasaurus. So he believes that this match will finally convince Nick Wayne to realize that he made a mistake aligning himself with Darby Allin. But we'll see what happens until then. Now, our main event is, of course, the finals of the AEW World Title Grand Slam Eliminator match. We have Roderick Strong and Samoa Joe. Now, these two guys are no strangers to each other. Recently, during the tournament of course, it was Samoa Joe who put, of course, Roderick Strong on the shelf. But as always, Samoa Joe walked away with the win by applying the chokehold, and of course, and this and that. However, Adam Cole came out to check on Roderick Strong, and once again, they're trying to cause a problem with him. And then, of course, the Kingdom were telling him that he failed them, that he turned his back on them. But however, the more he was trying to resolve this whole thing, Samoa Joe attacked Adam Cole as a direct message to MJF. But we'll see what happens in Arthur Ashe. But don't forget, this Friday we have Rampage. Anything could happen until then. And of course, Collision on Saturday. I believe that's pretty much it right now with both our reviews. Let's move on with our final thing, news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news update. So this is what we have for everyone so far. Now, an interesting thing, in the past when we had the Wednesday Night War, we tried to compare how the ratings went. However, this one was reported by Fightful Select that the ratings for NXT on Tuesday Wrestling has improved. It got a bigger number. So basically, they had about 850,000 viewers. But as for the demo, we have 0.26. So that's very interesting. Now, there was a report saying that there could be a possibility they want to move NXT back to Wednesday because they want to make it into a third brand. I think the reason these numbers are like this is due to the sudden appearance of Becky Lynch. So we'll see how that progresses. Now, many people are saying, do we really need another Wednesday Night War again? I mean, we're already done for it anyway, but we'll see. Now, this is another interesting development relates to WWE. This was reported by PW Insider. They said that Edge has been removed for the WWE internal roster, so that means he's not in it. However, there's now been talk: is he really AEW bound? Well, we don't know yet. I'm sure that many of the WWE loyalists are going to be in disbelief if it's true or not. I mean, look, guys, I understand that he's a WWE guy. You want to say that, but however, you need to understand, Edge wanted to stay because he proved his loyalty, but it appears WWE are kind of, I don't like, they feel like he's not maybe maybe they just don't feel they need him right now or need him at all. But we'll see how that rolls up. Now, more on the New Japan for Royal Quest 3 on the 14th of October. They announced that Doiki will be involved. I'm so excited for Doiki to be involved. Now, Ladies Night Out, which is going to be broadcast by Title Match Network on the 26th of November. They announced Kylie Alexia, already newer in NWA as Kylie Page. She and, of course, Ella Envy will be participating in that show. Fightful Select reports that the AEW Real World Championship has now been abandoned and discarded since the departure of CM Punk. I feel that maybe it was the right choice. I mean, why would they need it anyway if Punk is not there? So we'll see where it goes, but I think it's the right move. Spark Joshi Puroresu of America has announced for the Rising Heat East on the 14th of October that Kelsey Regan will be involved in this one, so that's going to be good. Now, GCW updates. The first on the 17th of September for the GCW versus TNT. The GCW World title will be defended. Brian Cage defends his title against Man Like Darius. And then of course a week later, we do have, of course, GCW and versus the World in Germany. Jordan Oliver takes on Latigo, so that's going to be interesting as well to watch. Now, as you know, I talked about, of course, an interesting match for the goddesses of the tag league that takes place right after 5-star Grand Prix. I did mention, as you know, Mirai and Ami Sourei are tag partners, but however, now it's been decided that Mirai will be teaming with Mai Sakurai at tag league. But the obvious question is, what does this mean for Ami Sourei? How will this be? Apparently, it turns out that they're going to pair Ami Sourei with Yuna Mizumori, while Tam and Asupo actually will be teaming up again as Meltier. So we'll see how that goes. But however, there was an interesting tweet made by both ladies. Yuna Mizumori said this: I'm happy to be participating in the Goddesses for the first time. I'm happy though, why? So she's questioning why they're pairing her with Ami Sourei. However, she has said this: I thought about it for 2 days, but I didn't really understand this tag. Why are you saying this line? However, I don't dislike Yunaman, who trains every day and does her best to achieve what she wants to achieve. I think she's suitable for God's Eye. So even though Ami Sourei admits that she has no issues towards her, of course, I mean, in a way, she's like, why do you need to ask why you've been set up in this match? But I mean, anything's a possibility, as you know. I know that God's Eye are really establishing themselves with Saki Kashima being the newest member, but we'll see what happens. Now, sad news: Kid Bandit has announced that that she is now injured. She had to cancel many of her matches. This is what Kid Bandit has to say. I unfortunately will be missing the next 2 months due to injury. I'm so sorry to everyone that was excited to come see me perform live. Thankfully, the injury isn't severe, and we were able to identify the issue and address them before they become unimaginable. This is incredibly heartbreak for me, as I was slated for multiple debuts and returns to places I've been excited to go. I had planned to take a break in January, and I was very much looking forward by the remaining in-ring time for 2023. I was very excited for my upcoming matches, and I'm gutted that I can't maintain these bookings. I am currently disappointed in myself, being Kid Bandit has been most of my life-changing thing I've experienced. I have been making the most of the last 2 years, enjoying the wildest ride of my life. This time last year, I was pulled from the dark places, and I swore to myself to never take for granted that the privilege of being a professional wrestler. I love pro wrestling so much, and I promise to return action in the future and be better than I am today. Thank you so much for all the support. So basically, the injury was not that big of a problem, but they are able to control it. So I can't wait to see when Kid Bandit returns. Now, this is a much interesting thing. Now, if you guys remember, there was this one time many years ago when it came to WWE about the accuracy of the numbers of attendance during a WrestleMania show. It was later revealed that apparently it was not 100% accurate. However, there were certain people who are questioning about the accuracy of All In by AEW at London. Some people say that there is no way AEW actually had 81,000 over 81,000 people that showed up in the show. However, a local government person said this recently, and this was reported by a British news outlet, said this, called WrestlePurist. This was coming from a government official or something. I can confirm that the Brent Council holds the information that you have requested. The actual numbers registered entering the stadium through the turnstiles was 72,265. This reflects on what attending on the night, and not the total number of tickets sold, nor show exactly. If you are dissatisfied by the way in which your request has been handled or the outcome, you may request internal review within the next 2 calendar months of the date of this response by writing. So basically, they're saying that AEW has BS their way. But someone took offense to this, knowing that the actual number, and this person who actually took offense that that this whole thing was a lie was Will Ospreay. Apparently, he posted this on. This was posted by Fightful Select on their Twitter page, laughing his butt off that he can't believe, because apparently he tattooed his arm with the exact numbers of All In. So he said he's okay. I mean, he was just being a bit like, you gotta be kidding me. So the obvious question is, okay, if they're saying that this is the actual number, that someone is trying to mess around, we don't know. But hopefully this somehow could be rolled off. I wouldn't be surprised if Tony Khan kicks and screams, but we'll see how that turns around. But I think that's pretty much it, what we have for now for everyone. I believe it's time to call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we have, of course, more 3 reviews for the Unagi Sayako watch, with 3 of her matches that recently take place. But we also had some sad news that regards about Unagi's health, um, that would affect her upcoming bookings. But we'll see what happens. But also for our next episode, it's going to feature, of course, Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, and I'm going to presume MLW Fusion. But also, I'm thinking about reviewing the latest free show that was put by House of Glory, High Intensity. So I'm looking forward to that. So we'll see how that plays out. But for now, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.